Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday, September 10th to you all. You ever have one of those mornings, or I don't know, one of those times where you just keep going down rabbit holes and you just can't stop? It's this morning is such a target-rich news environment. I literally could just keep on going. I think I could just do a live stream and just keep on scrolling. I mean, just Twitter alone, let alone Reddit and Discord, etc. It's just there's so much news, so many things going on. Anyway, so we'll get started. I tried to put in some high points. We'll see what happens. See how long this goes. So to start with, the Russian military losses over the last 24 hours, 490 troops no longer participating in the three-day special military operation. 10 tanks were lost, 16 APVs, 40 vehicles and fuel tanks, 22 artillery pieces. It's just like a day ending in Y, like 40 vehicles, 22 artillery pieces, 3 MLRS, which is pretty good. Again, I think another TOS was hit, the flamethrower, thermobaric, bad, bad piece of equipment. So anytime, I think the TOS is the number one thing that I like seeing removed from the equation because of the fact that I know what it does to, it's very indiscriminate. It's a multiple launch rocket system, but the bombs that it drops are basically thermobaric vacuum bombs. They're horrible. So anytime I see a TOS taken out, I'm a happy camper. 1 anti-aircraft warfare system and 5 UAVs. And like I put in my tweet here, follow Spartan underscore news one. But what I put in my tweet here was whatever country you're from, imagine your country losing 40 vehicles in a day. Now, how about 97? 97 pieces of equipment lost in one day. And it's just a day ending in a Y. Wouldn't even make the third page of an old newspaper. Okay, so moving on, I have some really, really good news. As the thumbnail said, the Ukraine Defense Intelligence Agency announced the award of $2 million US and residents in a NATO country of their choosing to the entire family of to any Russian pilot who defects to Ukraine in a MiG-31 armed with a Kinzhal missile. Last month, an Mi-8 helicopter pilot defected to Ukraine. So basically, they're taking what the positive media blitz that Russian pilot was on and using it as a sales campaign, where basically they're saying, if you're currently flying a MiG-31 and you've got a Kinzhal, especially, fly across the border, land in Ukraine, get your family out. We'll give you $2 million, give you citizenship and residence in whatever country that you want. I think this is fantastic. I think it solves a couple of things. One, it brings over a high-end piece of military equipment in the MiG-31. It also brings over the Kinzhal, which in itself could be fired back at the Russians, but I don't think it would be. I think it would be disassembled and reverse engineered, etc. And takes one more plane out of your enemy's arsenal and puts it into yours. So I think it's a great time to announce this. And I think it's going to I think it's going to lead to some positive results. If you look at the financial situation of the Russian country, of the Russian military, I assume pilots are kind of on a different level and are getting paid, and they're obviously not in the trenches and that sort of thing. But at the same time, they're not stupid people. They can see the writing on the wall. And if any of them went online, used the VPN, and watched that video of that gentleman getting $500,000 for an Mi-8 helicopter and his family safe, and you know that you're about to take off in a MiG-31 and you're supposed to be launching Kinjals against Ukraine every week or something like that, wouldn't you want to reach out and maybe make some arrangements and fly that jet across the border, become a millionaire, and save your family, save your life? I would. Anyways, interesting one to watch to see if they get any takers. I think they will. And it's not just that. I mean, people can defect with tanks and military equipment and ATOS and anything else. They can contact the Ukrainian military and arrange for a special defection operation. Moving on. So this is basically the first recorded Leopard 2 A6, well, Leopard 2, Leopard versus Russian T80BV, which is one of their higher end tanks. So to this Leopard took on two of these Russian tanks at a range of approximately 2.8 kilometers. This happened in Robotyne in June. The Ukrainian Leopard hits one, I think probably slightly damaged it, and then sent them packing. But let's see, let's watch this video. So there's the Leopard 2A6, which is the most modern one that the Ukrainians have. Oh wait, was that the Leopard? Okay. Anyways, so there's the Leopard striking the T80, and you're kind of hoping, well, anyways, just see. Is it destroyed? No. Looks to me like it impacted the ground. Either it could have deflected off the armor, or it could have just hit the ground in front of it, or whatever. Clearly the shell exploded. This wasn't just an impact into the dirt. I don't think that looks like an explosion. But the T80, and I keep watching this, and it's producing some smoke, so I believe it has it does have some damage. It's got some smoke, and this is not a smoke screen. It's got damage coming out of, it looks like possibly the rear and the upper turret, but it's mobile. So he got out of there, and his buddy joined him, and they're booking it. So yeah, that is the Leopard 2A6 firing, and then from the other drone angle, you see where it hits. To me, that looks like it was an impact, and that looks like whatever armor, the ERA, it had contact 2 or contact 3 or whatever heck it is. It looks like the armor absorbed that, because you see if I can get it right to the point of impact. There you go. It looks to me like it impacted it. Anyways, interesting video. First tank-on-tank battle. Next up, President Lula da Silva of Brazil has stated that Putin will not be arrested if he comes to Brazil for the G20 summit in 2024. Brazil has signed the Rome Statute, which requires the arrest and extradition of those indicted by the International Criminal Court, which Putin has been. So basically, Lula and Brazil are part of BRICS, which is allied with Russia, and he's basically stated that he's not going to adhere to their sort of contractual agreements and adhere to the Rome Statute, which is kind of disappointing. It's not surprising, even though South Africa, which is also part of BRICS, said that they would adhere to it, which is why Putin did not attend. In other geopolitical news, the Armenian government has sent the Rome Statute, that particular statute to Parliament for ratification. This is huge news. Once ratified, Armenia will adhere to the rules of the International Criminal Court in The Hague and will be obliged to arrest and extradite Putin to The Hague if he ever enters Armenian territory. So for those of you who don't know, Armenia has been aligned with Russia. Azerbaijan has been aligned with Turkey, and they're having a territorial dispute over the Nagorno-Karabakh area. And Armenia was upset with Russia back in the day when there was a conflict with Azerbaijan, and they asked for Russia and its allies to come to their defense and send some additional troops, that sort of thing, and the Russians didn't do it. In addition to that, the Russian peacekeeping troops have not been keeping the peace. So Armenia has now agreed to conduct military exercises with the U.S. They've agreed to ratify the Rome Statute, and they've also sent troops to their border with Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan has done the same. So that is definitely a hot spot to watch. It impacts Russia, could impact Ukraine, which is why I've included it. In additional geopolitical news, the Russians are now banned from entering the EU in private cars. The European Commission has confirmed that entry into the EU countries with cars registered in Russia will be regarded as prohibited import. Also, Russians crossing the EU border are not allowed to bring with them cosmetic suitcases, laptops, smartphones, leather and fur products, semi-precious and precious stones, shampoo, and camera. Other than that, have a great trip. Fantastic news. Excuse me. Along the same lines of the Armenia, Azerbaijan, Russia. So as I said, Armenia has been aligned with Russia and, through a lesser extent, Iran. Iran stated that they were going to basically defend Armenia if anything happened to them, and would be sending troops to support them. In response, Turkey, who is aligned with Azerbaijan, said if Iran takes any action against Azerbaijan, the Turkish army will be quick to respond. And I've also seen that Al-Qaeda is involved in some of these disputes as well. It's just insane. So you could literally have Turkey and Azerbaijan lined up against Russia, Iran, and Armenia, but Armenia is also aligned with the US now and is not making friends with the Russians. So good luck figuring that one out. But again, one to watch. Vladimir Putin basically officially promoted a new general, and that general stated in a Russian TASS interview that Ukraine is just a stepping stone into Europe. Key Russian general who Russian President Vladimir Putin promoted this week views the invasion of Ukraine as a mere stepping stone to further conflict with Europe. This week, Putin promoted Lieutenant General Andrei Mordachev to the rank of Colonel General. The military leader had already been serving in the role of commanding the Central Military District and Russian Central Grouping of Forces in Ukraine. I think he took over for Gerasimov, if I'm not mistaken. In a recent interview with the Moscow State Russia 1, a clip of which circulated widely on social media on Saturday, Mordachev said that he believes Putin's war will last quite a long time and expand in the future. I think there's still plenty of time to spend. It's pointless to talk about a specified period. If we are talking about Eastern Europe, which we will have to, of course, then it will be longer. Ukraine is only a stepping stone. Yes, absolutely, it's only the beginning. And that's the person who's basically, I think, third in charge in Russia's MOD. Uh, this one is from June, but it recently surfaced. This is a audio recording of basically Russians calling in close combat artillery support, and the people that they contacted to help them started to fire on their positions instead. I'm going to let a little bit of this play, and then I'm going to pin this in the video. He's begging for them to stop. We are being shelled heavily. Where are you shooting? Stop. This is Rambo. Confirming this is friendly fire. My guys are being shelled. Do you hear me? There's none of us left. Our guys are getting hit. Ceasefire. This is Rambo. I'm going to stop right there. So, second greatest military in the world, constantly shelling its own people, and they just wouldn't stop. They get this continued for a while. In other news, so that cherubic young man is Kadyrov, in charge of Chechnya, and that's his, or was his doctor. And you remember he kind of Kadyrov went into poor health and started to gain weight excessively. And in this particular video clip, he appears to be on some heavy narcotics and begging for his mom's sanctions to be lifted. Anyways, Russian media reported that Kadyrov, worried and frightened by a sudden worsening of his health condition, accused his personal doctor, Elkam Suleimanov, who also served as deputy prime minister, of trying to poison him. The doctor disappeared without a trace in October 2022, and then, according to several sources, unconfirmed, he was removed from all posts, brutally ended, and buried alive. Well, you can't really be murdered and then buried alive, so I think it's reversed. I don't mean to laugh at that, but it's just bad English. But I believe I think you need the reverse, that he was possibly buried alive. Suleimanov's last Instagram post is dated October 22nd, despite the fact that he used to update his profile almost daily. He was also not seen for a long time, either in Moscow educational institutions, which he often visited, or in Chechnya. Noticeably, his Instagram page shows a link to the website of the Chechen Republican Oncological Dispensary, which was his main project. However, the source claims that the site now sells cocaine in Dubai. Suleimanov was an extraordinary figure in Kadyrov's entourage. He was a Lezgin, not a Chechen, and had an impressive professional record in medicine. His abrupt disappearance and mysterious death raised many questions. I don't know if this is photoshopped, but I don't think it is. So, there you go. I got nothing. In other news, in the Russian infrastructure, this is second greatest military, one of the greatest countries on the planet. Sewage is running constantly in the streets of Yekaterinburg, Russia. It seems like a rather common occurrence. I felt that as well when I was looking at it. Nobody's fixing it. The water's just running down the train tracks. People are just going about their day. This is not a new occurrence. There's nothing. Just a hole in the road. And last, I wanted to find a funny something to leave off on a light note. So, you all seen the Flex Seal commercials. So here's the Zed. Slap on the Flex Seal, Flex tape. And no, it still runs. For those of you who've not seen, Russia's decided to start putting tires on top of planes to stop drones. This basically exemplifies how that's not going to happen, because the drones can aim for the center of the tires. Anyways, that's it for today. Hope you all have a great day. Slava Ukraini.